that. So thank you for coming out. God bless you. I'd be glad to take any questions, Peter, if that's what we're supposed to do next.
One of the things that, may I call you Marlin?
Yes, absolutely.
One of the things that all of us feel very strongly about is that we're all here because we don't believe in party, we believe in principles first. And as you know, the 912 group stands for 9 principles and 12 values. And what all of us are looking for is laying those principles and values over a candidate's life and saying, is this somebody that meets or exceeds these particular values and principles? And the most important of all of those is God. Now, I don't recall you mentioning God in your talk, but what does God mean to you in government, and what does God mean to you and your family?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good question. You know, that's one thing that I think is so important right now, that we as Americans, not Republican, not Democrat, we're Americans first. And I think we need to remember that in this whole political process, that what made this country great is that we started out with being one nation under God. And to me, if we forget that principle, I'm a Christian, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm a Christian, my wife and I are firm believers. We believe that God is such an important part, but He is a priority in our life. And, you know, from there it's our family, from there it's, you know, our community and what we do. But, you know, if we aren't honoring God first, then you're going to have things, we have things upside down at that point. And, you know, God was the premise, really, I believe, the foundation of not only our Constitution, but our country. And I think it is so important for us that we should not be ashamed to go out into the town square, into the marketplace, and you know, be willing to be who you are. I mean, we all have, maybe we all come from different faiths, but at the same time, it's the Constitution that protects that opportunity, that right for us to have the diversity in this country. And that's one thing that I heard Tony Blair say about America, was that, you know, you saw the fighting going on in Great Britain between the different states over there, and he said one thing about America is that he was amazed how people melted together, how they came together from different backgrounds, whether they were Italian or whether they were Irish or whether they were German, and they came from all sorts of different faiths. But we respect that. But at the point when that faith starts affecting other people and physically or is domineering another person's right, I think that's where it crosses the line. But the Constitution protects that, and I am grateful for what Christ has done for me.
The next question our group is interested in is your opinions on the public option, not necessarily health care in general, but specifically the public option.
Yeah, I'm not a supporter of the public option. I don't think there's, what happens when government takes over GM and Chrysler? At that point, Ford is competing with an entity that can go back and keep subsidizing a business that comes from taxpayer dollars. Ford is out here actually competing in the marketplace. That's the same thing that would happen with a public option. We would destroy the private healthcare system that we currently have in this country. You know, when President Obama says that it would make it cheaper for small businesses if they had public option, well, it's because he's trying to give the small businessman's not going to buy or purchase health care because they're going to send them off to the government. And that's going to only increase, it may lower the cost, but in the long run, it's going to affect this country greatly because it's going to increase the cost of the taxpayer.
Marlin, if you were asked to give us 5 or 6 suggestions on what you believe the health care bill should be highlighted, what would those suggestions be?
What I think we should be focusing on rather than public option and some of the other things that are in the bill? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in other words, if you were president for a day and you could make
Yeah.
the bill, what would the bullet points of your bill be?
Yeah. You know, with this whole debate around healthcare, I think we're losing our eye on what really is the problem. There are problems in our healthcare system. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. I think we have problems with accessibility, with pre-existing conditions, and tort reform. I think that's where we really should start. Start protecting doctors at the top of the list. You know, doctors, they are running a business, and so even though it's a calling as well, but they have to run it like a business, and that is what makes, and that is what helps our healthcare system in this country, is because of the competitiveness of it. And so when you have doctors who have high cost in education, you have the cost of, you know, a facility, the cost of staff, administration, and all of the costs that go along with that, with the regulation of our government now, you know, let's protect them at the least, starting with tort reform, protecting them from frivolous lawsuits. So that would be first on my list. I think second of all is we need to find a solution to the pre-existing conditions and getting people the access that they do need, because there are, when we fight this fight, even at the State House with, I don't know, I can't think of the terminology, but when you send the dentists are really the ones, and the chiropractors are really the ones that are always trying to get the check sent from the insurance company directly to the doctor rather than sending it to the patient or the customer, and then the customer has to turn around and reimburse the doctor. Well, you know, I guess in my mind, and I know what the healthcare or what the insurance companies are trying to do. They say they're trying to drive down costs, but what you actually do is you make the doctor, the dentist, or the chiropractor, or those who are not part of their network, you force them to be collection agents, and then they have to go out and collect for those who don't pay their medical bills. So I think that, you know, we have to find ways to fix those problems. So I would say, starting at the top, tort reform, pre-existing conditions, the terminology I can't. Is there a dentist in the room? No? Okay, a chiropractor? You stayed at a Holiday Inn. It's just slipping my mind, and I actually I helped with the bill last year. But I think also that we need to incentivize people. Rather than punishing, well, we end up punishing good behavior, but too many times that our government punishes good behavior. We need to reward good behavior, and then when you have bad behavior, it should not be reimbursed or rewarded or whatever you want to call it. So I think that if you look at a healthcare system, it should be one that is rewarding, or is the person that's out there being responsible should somehow receive some sort of incentive. And then I think the last one would be to have competition in the insurance industry and have them be able to buy insurance across state lines like we do our auto insurance. So those would be my 5, I think, that I could think of right off.
Who controls that?
Controls.
The state?
The next
I
question
heard a lady in
I'm
town hall
very interested in is your position on the cap and trade bill.
Can I take a question from him real quick? There was a gentleman. Okay, I'm sorry. What was that again?
On this issue of being able to buy out-of-state insurance, who controls that? Is that Fed
Yes.
rule?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.